Liam was always drawn to the forest. The city was loud and crowded, and every day he longed for the quiet of tall trees, the sound of wind in the branches, and the soft carpet of fallen leaves under his boots. On this particular morning, the air was crisp, the sky painted in pale shades of orange and gold as the sun rose. Liam had packed his backpack with water, some sandwiches, a notebook, and his camera. Today he wanted to go deeper into the woods than he had ever gone before. He walked slowly at first, enjoying the calm around him. Birds called from the treetops, squirrels darted along branches, and somewhere in the distance a stream sang its soft song. The path he followed was narrow and overgrown in places, with roots twisting across it like natural obstacles, but Liam felt no rush. He wanted to feel the forest in every sense, to listen, to breathe, and to notice everything around him. After walking for nearly 2 hours, he noticed something strange. Ahead, the trees grew even denser, their branches twisting together to form a kind of natural archway. Sunlight barely reached the ground, and shadows moved like dancers across the moss. He slowed down, curious. The forest felt different here. There was a stillness, as if it were holding its breath. Then he saw it. A tall structure rose behind the trees, partially hidden by vines and overgrowth. It was made of stone and metal, and its dome-shaped roof reflected the sunlight in a soft shimmer. Liam's heart quickened. He had never expected to find anything like this so far into the forest. The building looked old, abandoned for many years, yet it seemed strong, as if it had resisted time and weather alike. He stepped closer, brushing aside branches and leaves. The closer he got, the more details he noticed. Windows were cracked or covered in grime, and a metal door hung slightly open, rusted but still intact. He could see a set of wide stairs leading up to the entrance. Liam paused, considering. Something about the observatory called to him. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was the thrill of discovering a hidden place. Either way, he knew he had to go inside. Pushing the door gently, it creaked but gave way. A wave of cool, musty air greeted him. Inside, the room was large and circular, with a high ceiling that led up to the dome. Dust lay thick on the floor, and cobwebs hung from corners. The faint smell of old wood and metal filled the air. Liam switched on his flashlight and moved carefully, his eyes wide with wonder. The room was filled with strange equipment. Telescopes of different sizes stood in place, some pointing toward the dome, others stacked neatly against walls. Charts of the night sky were pinned to the walls, some yellowed with age. Small tables were scattered around, holding notebooks, compasses, and what looked like old mechanical devices. Liam walked slowly from one table to another, examining each object. Each discovery made his heart beat faster. As he explored, he noticed a spiral staircase leading to the dome above. The stairs looked safe, though a bit worn. He climbed carefully, each step making a soft creak under his weight. At the top, he found a circular platform surrounding a large telescope mounted in the center. Sunlight streamed through the open dome, illuminating dust particles in the air. Liam approached the telescope and looked through it. Though it was dusty, the lens still worked. He could see the trees outside, their leaves shining in the sunlight. He felt a strange mix of excitement and calm. This place was magical in its own way, a secret world hidden in the forest. Liam thought about the person who must have built it, who had spent hours, perhaps years, observing the stars from this lonely observatory. What secrets did this place hold? Liam's eyes were drawn to a corner of the platform, where a small chest sat, partially covered in dust. He moved toward it and opened it carefully. Inside were old journals, their leather covers cracked and worn. He picked one up and opened it. The handwriting inside was neat and careful, though faded with time. The first entry began with a date many years ago, and the words described nights spent watching the stars, recording the movements of planets, and noting unusual celestial events. Liam's excitement grew. He flipped through several pages, reading about observations, experiments, and sketches of stars and planets. The writer of the journal was meticulous, passionate about the sky, and clearly spent long hours alone in this forest, studying the heavens. Liam could almost imagine the person sitting by candlelight, writing each note with care. He continued exploring the observatory. On one wall he found maps of constellations, some drawn with great detail, others marked with symbols he did not understand. There were mechanical instruments he had never seen before, some looking like they measured light, others like they measured distance. Liam carefully examined each one, his curiosity growing with every step. The place seemed abandoned, but it was filled with evidence of a mind at work, someone dedicated and thoughtful. As he moved through the lower levels, Liam found more rooms. One was a small library filled with books about astronomy, physics, and natural sciences. The spines of the books were cracked, the pages yellowed, yet they seemed to contain a treasure of knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. Liam ran his fingers over the covers, imagining the countless hours spent reading, studying, and learning. In another room, he found a collection of photographs, some of the sky, some of instruments, and others of the forest surrounding the observatory. Each photograph told a story, showing someone deeply connected to both the earth and the stars. Liam felt a sense of respect and awe. This was more than an abandoned building. It was a record of dedication and wonder. Suddenly, Liam noticed something odd. A faint light flickered from beneath a door at the far end of the main room. Curious, he walked over and tried the handle. The door opened easily, revealing a small room filled with even more equipment. There were charts of the sky with unusual patterns, notebooks stacked neatly, and a small table with a glowing device he had never seen before. Liam stepped closer, mesmerized. The device emitted a soft, pulsing light, and though he could not understand its purpose, it felt important, almost alive. He took out his notebook and began sketching what he saw, noting details about the device and the charts around it. He felt a strange excitement, as if he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. Every corner of the observatory seemed to hold secrets, waiting for someone curious enough to uncover them. Hours passed without Liam realizing it. The sun moved slowly across the sky and shadows shifted inside the building. He paused to eat a sandwich, still seated among the old journals and equipment. The forest outside was quiet, the sound of the wind through the trees now mixed with distant bird calls. Liam felt a strange peace, a connection to the place and to the person who had once dedicated their life to studying the stars. Before leaving, he carefully closed the journals and placed everything back where he found it. He wanted to preserve the observatory as it was, a hidden treasure in the forest. Climbing back down the spiral staircase, he paused to take one last look at the large telescope, imagining the countless nights someone had spent peering through it, searching the sky for answers. As Liam stepped outside, the sun had begun to dip lower in the sky, painting the forest in warm golden hues. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement, wonder, and gratitude. He had discovered something remarkable, something that would stay with him forever. The abandoned observatory, hidden deep in the woods, was more than a building. It was a place of curiosity, knowledge, and awe. Liam looked back once more, promising himself that he would return. There was so much more to explore, so much more to learn, and though the observatory had been abandoned, it had given him a gift, an experience he would never forget, a glimpse into a world of wonder hidden in the heart of the forest. With one last look, he turned and began walking back toward the path he had come from, the image of the observatory etched in his mind, ready for the next adventure. The next morning, Liam returned to the forest. He could not stop thinking about the observatory and the strange devices he had seen the day before. The air was cool, and the scent of pine filled his lungs as he walked deeper into the woods. Every step felt exciting because he knew he was returning to a place full of mystery. The observatory came into view as he approached. Sunlight glinted off the dome and the shadows of trees danced across its walls. Liam's heart raced. He had a feeling that today would be even more remarkable than yesterday. Carefully, he pushed open the door and stepped inside. The musty air greeted him again, but now it felt familiar, almost comforting. He moved through the main room slowly, examining details he had not noticed before. Some of the journals had tiny sketches of stars he had not seen yesterday, and a few pages were filled with notes about experiments with light and lenses. Liam picked up one of the notebooks and read a page carefully. The writer described how different telescopes could reveal things invisible to the naked eye. Liam's curiosity grew. He wanted to see for himself. He decided to explore the small room at the far end of the main hall, the one with the glowing device he had noticed. The light was still faintly pulsing, casting soft shadows on the walls. Liam stepped inside and carefully examined the device. It was shaped like a small round machine with lenses and buttons, and it emitted a quiet hum. He had never seen anything like it. Next to the device were more charts of the sky, Some showed the positions of stars and planets as they would appear over many years. Others had symbols that Liam could not understand. He wondered who had made them and why. The person must have been brilliant, spending hours studying the night sky and making notes that only someone with a deep understanding of astronomy could interpret. Liam noticed a narrow door tucked behind a tall cabinet. He moved the cabinet aside and pushed the door open. It led to a hidden room, smaller than the others but filled with fascinating objects. There were shelves of instruments, maps of constellations, and piles of notebooks carefully stacked. The room had the feeling of a secret workshop, a place where someone had worked in silence, creating and observing. On a table in the center of the room lay an open journal. Liam leaned closer and saw detailed sketches of the sky, showing unusual alignments of stars and planets. The notes suggested the writer had been tracking celestial events that did not match ordinary patterns. Liam's excitement grew. He could feel the sense of discovery that had driven the original observer. He explored the shelves and found instruments that looked like small machines designed to measure light or movement. Some were delicate with glass parts and fine gears, while others were larger and more complex. Liam picked one up carefully and turned it in his hands. It seemed to be a kind of measuring tool, though he was unsure exactly what it measured. Each object he touched added to the feeling that he had uncovered something extraordinary. On one shelf, Liam found a small box with strange symbols carved on the lid. He opened it and found tiny crystals inside, each glowing faintly. They were arranged carefully, as if they were part of an experiment. Liam's mind raced. What were these for? The more he discovered, the more he realized the observatory held secrets that went beyond ordinary astronomy. He sat down at the table and began sketching some of the instruments and crystals in his notebook. He wanted to remember every detail. The quiet of the room was complete, broken only by the soft hum of the glowing device. Liam felt a sense of connection to the person who had built this place, someone who had worked with patience and curiosity, always seeking knowledge. Hours passed as he studied the objects and journals. He noticed a small trapdoor in the corner of the room. It was hidden under a rug and partially covered by a cabinet. Liam knelt and opened it. A narrow staircase led downward, spiraling into darkness. He hesitated, but curiosity pushed him forward. He carefully descended, using his flashlight to light the steps. The staircase opened into a small underground chamber. The walls were lined with shelves holding more instruments and notebooks. In the center of the room was a large table with a map of the night sky spread across it. The map was unlike anything Liam had seen before. It showed patterns of stars and planets with lines connecting them in unusual ways. There were notes about timings, movements, and calculations that seemed both precise and mysterious. Liam moved closer to study the map. Some of the notes suggested the original observer had been tracking events that happened rarely, things that most people would never notice. There were diagrams of light beams, reflections, and angles, all carefully labeled. Liam felt a thrill. He was seeing the work of someone who had dedicated their life to observing and understanding the universe. On the table, there was a small wooden box. Inside were more glowing crystals, similar to the ones he had seen in the hidden room above. Liam realized they were arranged according to the patterns on the map. Perhaps they were part of an experiment to observe something specific in the sky. He studied the arrangement carefully, trying to imagine what the crystals could do. While examining the table, Liam noticed a small drawer in the side. He opened it and found letters and notes addressed to someone named Michael. The letters spoke of discoveries, challenges, and excitement about observing unusual events in the sky. They were full of passion for astronomy and a deep curiosity about the unknown. Liam read each letter with care, feeling as if he were listening to the thoughts of a close friend he had never met. The chamber also contained old photographs. Some showed the forest outside the observatory at different times of the year, while others captured the night sky. A few photographs showed the interior of the observatory, with telescopes and instruments carefully arranged. Liam realized the person who had lived and worked here had documented everything with great care, leaving a detailed record of their work. As he explored, Liam noticed a small device in the corner of the chamber. It was a mechanical object with dials, lenses, and a small screen. Though he did not understand its function, he could tell it was important. The device seemed designed to observe or measure something specific, perhaps connected to the crystals or the star maps. Liam carefully examined it, noting every detail in his notebook. He spent the rest of the afternoon in the chamber, studying every object and reading through the notes. Each discovery made him more fascinated. The observatory was not just a place for watching the stars. It was a center of learning, experimentation, and careful observation. Liam could imagine the countless nights the original observer had spent here, writing notes, making calculations, and marveling at the sky. Before leaving, Liam took one last look around the underground chamber. He carefully closed the drawers, stacked the notebooks neatly, and made sure the instruments were untouched. He felt a deep respect for the person who had created this place, a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to witness their work. Climbing back up the narrow staircase, Liam emerged into the hidden room above. The faint light of the glowing device seemed even softer now, as if it were responding to his presence. He walked slowly back to the main hall, taking a moment to look at the large telescope and the journals he had explored yesterday. The observatory felt alive with history and knowledge, a hidden world waiting to share its secrets. As he stepped outside, the sun was beginning to lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Liam felt a mixture of excitement and wonder. He had uncovered more of the observatory's mysteries, but he knew there was still more to discover. This place held secrets that went beyond ordinary observation, and he could not wait to return. Walking back along the forest path, Liam's mind buzzed with ideas and questions. Who had built the observatory? What exactly had they been observing? And what could the crystals, devices, and maps reveal if studied carefully? He felt a growing sense of purpose, a desire to understand what he had found. By the time he reached the edge of the forest, Liam's heart was full of anticipation. He knew this was only the beginning of an extraordinary journey. The abandoned observatory, hidden deep in the woods, had shared its first secrets with him, and he was ready to uncover the rest. The following morning, Liam returned to the forest once again. He could not shake the feeling that the observatory held secrets he had not yet uncovered. The crisp air and the soft rustling of leaves welcomed him as he walked along the familiar path. Each step brought him closer to the mysterious building that had captured his imagination. When he reached the observatory, Liam paused to take in its presence. The sunlight reflected off the dome, and shadows of branches played across the walls. Today he felt ready to explore even more deeply. He pushed the heavy metal door open and stepped inside, greeted by the familiar scent of old wood and metal. The quiet stillness of the place seemed to embrace him. Liam made his way through the main hall, checking the journals and instruments he had studied before. Each object held new details he had not noticed, and each notebook revealed additional observations about the stars. But today his curiosity was focused on the small hidden areas he had not yet explored. He remembered the narrow staircase in the hidden room and the trapdoor leading to the underground chamber. Something told him there was more, something even more remarkable waiting to be discovered. He moved toward the hidden room at the far end of the main hall. The glowing device still pulsed softly, casting gentle light across the walls. Liam approached the device, studying it carefully. The crystals he had seen yesterday glimmered faintly, and the unusual arrangement on the table caught his attention once again. He wondered if the device and crystals were connected, part of a larger system designed for a purpose he could not yet understand. Then he noticed a small panel on the wall, partially concealed by a stack of old books. He touched it gently, and to his surprise it clicked. A hidden compartment slid open, revealing a narrow passageway leading further into the observatory. Liam's heart raced. He had not expected to find this. The passage was dark, but he could sense that it led to something significant. He switched on his flashlight and stepped inside, careful not to disturb the floor. The walls were lined with shelves holding old equipment and small jars filled with substances he could not identify. The air was cooler here, and the silence felt heavier, as if the passage itself was guarding its secrets. Liam moved slowly, taking in every detail, each object hinting at the dedication and intelligence of the person who had built this place. At the end of the passage, Liam found a door unlike any he had seen before. It was made of thick wood with metal reinforcements, and strange symbols were etched into its surface. He pushed the door open carefully and stepped inside. The room was larger than he had imagined, with high ceilings and a circular layout. In the center was a large round table covered with maps, instruments, and glowing crystals arranged in intricate patterns. Liam's eyes widened. This was the heart of the observatory, the most important room, the place where the original observer must have worked on their most significant discoveries. The walls were lined with charts of the sky, diagrams of celestial events, and shelves filled with notebooks, each meticulously organized. The air seemed charged with knowledge, as if the room itself held the energy of countless hours of study and observation. He approached the central table and examined the crystals. They were arranged to match the patterns on the large map of the night sky. Liam studied the map carefully. It showed constellations, planets, and unusual alignments he had never seen in any star chart before. Lines connected certain stars, forming patterns that seemed purposeful, deliberate. He realized that the crystals were placed to correspond with these patterns, as if they were part of an experiment to observe or track celestial events. Around the room, Liam found more instruments, each one unique and carefully crafted. Some looked like they measured light, others motion or angles. There were small mechanical devices with dials and lenses, and a few instruments that seemed designed to interact with the crystals. Liam could not understand everything, but he felt the precision and thought behind every object. The person who had built this place was brilliant, combining creativity, science, and patience. On one side of the room, he discovered a stack of journals tied together with a leather strap. He untied them carefully and began reading. The notes described experiments with light and alignment, observations of rare celestial events, and calculations predicting occurrences that would happen far in the future. The writer spoke of wonder and discovery, always seeking to understand the mysteries of the sky. Liam was fascinated. The dedication was inspiring, and he felt a deep connection to someone who had spent so many years in this solitary pursuit. He noticed a small telescope in the corner, different from the others. It was smaller, but intricately designed, with lenses arranged to magnify specific parts of the sky. Liam looked through it and was amazed. Even though the observatory was abandoned, the lens was clear, and the view of the forest outside seemed sharper, brighter, and more detailed than he had ever seen. It was as if the telescope revealed more than just the physical world, showing the subtle patterns and connections that often went unnoticed. While exploring the shelves, Liam found more photographs. These were not ordinary pictures. They captured moments in the night sky, showing stars, planets, and rare events that could not be easily seen with the naked eye. Some photographs were labeled with dates and times, others with cryptic symbols and notes. Liam felt awe. The person who had worked here had documented the universe in ways most people could only dream of. In the center of the table, he noticed a small, round device he had not seen before. It had a soft, glowing light and seemed connected to the crystals and maps. Liam touched it gently, and to his surprise it hummed softly. The light from the device reflected off the crystals, creating faint patterns on the walls. Liam realized that the device, the crystals, and the maps were all part of a system designed to observe and record something extraordinary in the night sky. He spent hours examining every corner of the room, taking notes and sketching diagrams in his notebook. Each discovery added to his excitement, and he felt as if he were uncovering a puzzle that had been hidden for decades. The observatory was no ordinary place. It was a laboratory of wonder, a combination of science, curiosity, and imagination. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, Liam realized he had lost track of time. He looked around one last time, carefully closing the journals, leaving the instruments as they were, and ensuring the crystals remained undisturbed. He felt respect for the person who had built this hidden world, a sense of gratitude for allowing him to witness it. Climbing back through the passage and into the main hall, Liam paused for a moment. He looked up at the large telescope, imagining the countless nights the original observer had spent studying the sky. The observatory was full of secrets, and yet it also conveyed a sense of peace, a quiet reminder that curiosity and knowledge could exist in harmony with nature. As he stepped outside, the forest was bathed in the soft glow of the evening sun. Liam took a deep breath, feeling both awe and inspiration. He had discovered a hidden treasure, a place of learning and wonder that seemed almost magical. The observatory had shared some of its secrets, but he knew there was still more to uncover. Walking back along the familiar path, Liam's mind was alive with questions and ideas. Who had created the observatory? What exactly had they been observing? And what could the crystals and devices reveal if studied carefully? He felt a growing sense of purpose, a desire to return and explore even further. By the time he reached the edge of the forest, Liam's heart was full of anticipation. The observatory had revealed its hidden room, a place filled with the most mysterious instruments and maps. Yet he knew this was only part of the story. There was a larger mystery waiting to be discovered, something that would connect all the pieces he had seen so far. Liam looked back at the forest once more, a silent promise forming in his mind. He would return to the observatory. He would uncover every secret, understand every instrument, and discover the purpose of the crystals and maps. The abandoned building, hidden deep in the woods, had opened a door to a world of wonder, and Liam was ready to step through it. The next day, Liam returned to the forest with a feeling of anticipation he had never experienced before. The observatory had revealed hidden rooms, strange devices, and mysterious crystals, but he knew there was still more to uncover. Today he wanted to understand the purpose of it all. He wanted to learn why someone had gone to such lengths to build this secret place. The forest welcomed him with the familiar scent of pine and damp earth. Birds sang in the distance, and the wind whispered through the branches. Liam walked quickly but carefully, eager to reach the observatory before the sun climbed too high. When he arrived, the building stood silently among the trees, its dome catching the morning light. Pushing the metal door open, he stepped inside and inhaled the cool, musty air he had come to associate with discovery. He began in the main hall, examining the journals and instruments once more. This time he focused on the notes that described experiments and unusual observations. One entry caught his attention. It described a rare alignment of stars that the writer had been waiting for years to observe. The writer spoke of how this alignment could reveal patterns in the night sky that were normally invisible. Liam's curiosity grew. He realized that the observatory was not just a place for recording ordinary celestial events. It was a laboratory for discovering extraordinary phenomena. He moved to the hidden room at the far end of the hall. The glowing device still pulsed gently, casting soft light on the walls. Liam studied it carefully. The crystals on the table were arranged according to the patterns on the maps, and he noticed small adjustments had been made to their positions over time. He realized that the device, crystals, and maps formed a system, carefully designed to track rare celestial events and perhaps even predict them. In the corner of the room, Liam noticed a small cabinet he had not explored before. Inside were additional journals and notebooks, each filled with meticulous observations and calculations. Some described experiments with light, others with the movement of stars and planets. Liam read through the pages with growing fascination. The writer had been precise, recording every detail and ensuring that nothing was left to chance. The observatory was more than a building. It was a carefully constructed system for studying the heavens. Liam's eyes were drawn to a set of diagrams pinned to the wall. They showed the positions of stars and planets at different times, with lines connecting certain points in complex patterns. Next to the diagrams were notes suggesting that the original observer had been testing a theory about connections between celestial bodies. Liam studied the diagrams carefully, trying to understand the logic behind them. He realized that the patterns were consistent, deliberate, and meaningful. He moved toward the underground chamber, descending the narrow staircase he had discovered earlier. The chamber seemed quieter today, as if it were waiting for him to uncover its secrets. Liam approached the central table and studied the map of the night sky. This time he noticed small marks he had overlooked before. Each mark corresponded to a rare celestial event, carefully recorded and predicted with precision. He could feel the intelligence and dedication behind each calculation. Liam then examined the small device in the corner of the chamber. He remembered how it had hummed softly when he touched it before. Today he tried adjusting some of the dials and observed how the light reflected off the crystals and maps. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. Lines of light connected the crystals with points on the maps, highlighting certain stars and alignments. Liam realized that the device was designed to detect and enhance specific celestial patterns, allowing the observer to study events that would normally be invisible. As he explored further, Liam discovered more photographs. Some showed the night sky with unusual alignments of stars. Others captured events that could only happen once in many years. There were also pictures of the forest from different seasons, showing how the observatory's surroundings changed over time. Liam realized the original observer had documented everything, not only the sky but the environment around the observatory, ensuring that no detail was missed. He found a stack of letters addressed to someone named Michael, explaining experiments and observations. The letters spoke of excitement, curiosity, and a desire to understand the universe in a deeper way. Liam read one letter that described a night when the observer witnessed a rare alignment of stars that seemed to follow a hidden pattern. The writer spoke of how this event confirmed a theory and hinted at something extraordinary, though the details were left to be discovered by future observers. Liam's excitement grew. He began to understand the purpose of the observatory. It had been built not just for observing the stars, but for studying patterns in the sky, predicting rare events, and perhaps discovering connections that most people would never notice. The instruments, crystals, maps, and journals all worked together as part of a system designed to reveal the hidden order of the universe. He returned to the hidden room above, where the glowing device and crystals were arranged. Liam carefully studied the patterns again, comparing them with the notes and diagrams he had seen. The arrangement of crystals, the position of the maps, and the alignment of instruments all seemed connected. He realized that the original observer had created a sophisticated system, blending science and imagination to uncover truths about the sky. Hours passed as Liam worked to piece together the information. He took detailed notes, sketched diagrams, and carefully observed the reflections of light from the crystals. Each discovery added to his understanding. He felt a deep sense of awe for the person who had built this observatory, dedicating years of their life to studying the universe in such a unique way. As the sun began to lower in the sky, Liam took a moment to sit on a bench near the main telescope. He looked through the lens once more, imagining the countless nights the observer had spent watching the stars, recording every detail, and discovering patterns that had remained hidden from the world. Liam felt a sense of connection, as if he were standing in the presence of someone who had devoted their life to wonder and knowledge. Before leaving, Liam carefully returned everything to its original place. The journals, instruments, and crystals were untouched. He felt a deep respect for the observatory and the work it contained. The place was more than a building. It was a sanctuary of curiosity, discovery, and dedication. As he stepped outside, the forest was bathed in the warm glow of the evening sun. Liam took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and inspiration. He had begun to understand the purpose of the observatory, uncovering the experiments, instruments, and rare celestial events it had been designed to study. Yet he knew there was still more to discover. The story of the observatory was not finished, and he was determined to uncover its final secrets. Walking along the forest path, Liam's mind was alive with thoughts and questions. He wondered about the rare events recorded in the journals, the hidden patterns in the sky, and the extraordinary knowledge the observatory contained. He felt a growing sense of responsibility, a desire to return and continue exploring. The observatory had revealed its secrets slowly, carefully, and Liam understood that its mysteries required patience, respect, and curiosity. By the time he reached the edge of the forest, Liam felt a mixture of awe and anticipation. He had uncovered the deeper purpose of the observatory, understanding its experiments, instruments, and rare celestial events. But he knew this was not the end. There was still a final revelation waiting, something that would explain the full significance of the observatory and the brilliance of the person who had built it. Looking back at the forest one last time, Liam made a silent promise. He would return. He would uncover the remaining secrets, understand every instrument, and discover the full story of the abandoned observatory hidden deep among the trees. The building had shared its knowledge with him, and he was ready to see the final truth. The following morning, Liam returned to the forest one last time. The observatory had revealed its hidden rooms, mysterious instruments, glowing crystals, and rare celestial maps. He now felt ready to uncover its ultimate secret. The forest seemed alive with anticipation, the morning sunlight breaking through the trees and casting golden rays on the path. Liam moved quickly but carefully, his backpack light and his mind focused. When he reached the observatory, he paused for a moment to look at the dome. It shimmered in the early light as if inviting him inside. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the metal door open and stepped into the familiar coolness of the building. The scent of wood, metal, and dust greeted him, comforting yet filled with promise. He walked through the main hall, noting the journals and instruments he had explored before. Everything seemed as it had been, untouched and preserved. He felt a sense of respect for the person who had built this place. Every detail, every object, every note reflected careful thought and dedication. Today, Liam was determined to piece everything together and understand the full purpose of the observatory. He made his way to the hidden room with the glowing device and the crystals. Sunlight from the small windows barely reached the far corners, but the soft light from the device illuminated the maps and instruments on the table. Liam studied the arrangement carefully. The crystals reflected light in patterns that matched the charts on the walls. He realized that this was a system designed not only to observe but also to connect celestial events to specific moments on Earth. Liam's attention shifted to a small stack of notebooks in the corner. He flipped through them, noting calculations, observations, and diagrams that described celestial events occurring at rare intervals. Some entries predicted alignments of stars and planets, while others suggested patterns in the sky that most people would never notice. The writer had been trying to understand a deeper order, a connection between the universe and the way it could be observed from this very spot. Next, Liam moved to the underground chamber. The narrow staircase led him down to the central table with the large star map. Today, he examined every mark and line, comparing them with the crystals and instruments above. Slowly, he began to see the purpose of the observatory as a whole. It was a place where science, observation, and imagination came together to uncover hidden patterns in the sky. The instruments measured light, motion, and angles. The crystals amplified or tracked specific alignments, and the maps recorded rare celestial events. Together they formed a system for understanding the universe in ways ordinary telescopes could not. As he studied the chamber, Liam noticed a small, unusual device at the edge of the table. It had a clear lens and a tiny dial with inscriptions he had not seen before. Carefully he adjusted it, aligning it with the points on the star map. A faint light began to shine across the map, connecting certain stars and patterns he had never noticed. Liam felt a rush of excitement. The device revealed connections that were invisible before, showing relationships between stars and planetary alignments that occurred only rarely. Then Liam noticed a final set of notes tucked beneath a map. The handwriting was neat and deliberate, detailing the most important discovery the original observer had made. The notes described how, during certain rare alignments, light from distant stars would reflect in unique ways, creating patterns that could be predicted and studied from Earth. The observer had designed the crystals, devices, and instruments to capture these reflections and record them accurately. Liam realized that this was the ultimate purpose of the observatory: to witness extraordinary patterns in the sky that few people had ever seen, and to understand them fully. He spent hours tracing the lines on the maps, adjusting the devices and observing the reflections from the crystals. Slowly, everything began to make sense. The observatory was not merely a building for watching stars. It was a carefully constructed system for observing, predicting, and understanding rare celestial events. Every instrument, every crystal, every map was part of a greater plan to reveal the hidden order of the universe. Liam felt a deep sense of awe. He imagined the countless nights the original observer had spent in this place, writing notes, calculating alignments, adjusting instruments, and marveling at the sky. The person had dedicated years, perhaps decades, to this pursuit of knowledge. Liam could feel their presence in the careful arrangements, the detailed notes, and the intricate devices. The observatory was a monument to curiosity, intelligence, and wonder. After examining the final device and noting its function, Liam sat quietly for a moment. The observatory was more than a hidden building. It was a bridge between Earth and the universe. It allowed someone to see patterns that were normally invisible, to witness events that occurred only rarely, and to record them with precision. Liam felt a sense of gratitude and inspiration. This place had opened his eyes to the beauty and complexity of the world beyond what was visible to ordinary observers. Before leaving, Liam carefully returned everything to its place. The journals were stacked neatly, the instruments untouched, and the crystals arranged as they had been. He wanted to preserve the observatory exactly as it was, respecting the work and dedication of the person who had created it. Every corner of the building felt alive with the presence of curiosity and knowledge. Stepping outside, Liam took a deep breath of the fresh forest air. The sunlight danced through the trees, and the forest seemed more alive than ever. He looked back at the observatory, its dome shining in the golden light. He felt a mixture of wonder, respect, and excitement. He had uncovered the ultimate secret of the observatory, understood the purpose of its instruments, crystals, and maps, and witnessed the dedication of someone who had spent their life exploring the sky. Walking along the forest path, Liam reflected on what he had learned. The observatory had taught him patience, curiosity, and the joy of discovery. It had shown him that even in a quiet, hidden place, incredible knowledge could be found. It had revealed a world of wonder, one that connected Earth to the distant stars and allowed patterns of the universe to be understood. By the time he reached the edge of the forest, Liam felt a sense of completion. He had explored every hidden room, studied every instrument, and uncovered the ultimate purpose of the observatory. Yet he also felt a sense of humility, knowing that there were still mysteries in the sky beyond his understanding. The universe was vast, and the observatory had only revealed a small part of its secrets. Looking back one final time, Liam smiled. He knew he would never forget this experience. The abandoned observatory had shared its story with him, and he had learned more than he could have imagined. The glowing crystals, the intricate instruments, the maps, and the journals had all come together to reveal a hidden truth about the stars. Liam felt inspired, ready to share his experience with others, and determined to continue exploring the world with the same curiosity and respect he had discovered in the observatory. As he stepped onto the path leading away from the forest, Liam carried with him a sense of wonder that would last a lifetime. The observatory had been abandoned, hidden deep in the woods, yet it had offered him a window into the universe, a reminder that knowledge and curiosity could create extraordinary discoveries. He knew that the memory of this place, the secrets he had uncovered, and the sense of awe he felt would stay with him forever. Liam walked steadily toward home, his mind full of the maps, instruments, and journals he had studied. He imagined the night sky above, the stars moving in their quiet patterns, and he understood that the observatory had been built not just to observe, but to connect, to reveal, and to inspire. The forest behind him grew quiet as he left, but the observatory remained, patiently waiting for the next curious mind to uncover its wonders.